And we're back with me, Johnny McMurray, on the On The Spot Football Podcast for yet another fantastic guest. So we'll start on there. This guest is one of my oldest friends in professional football. From kids playing against each other to representing Northern Ireland together, he is the first active player to come on and be in the hot seat. It's my pleasure to introduce Mr. Matthew Clarke. Matthew,
Johnny
Clarke.
Thanks for having me, big man. It's been a long time coming, but
A big portion, you lads.
glad we got sorted. Now here we are. No, it's been a long time coming, but we're sorted.
We're here. I appreciate it. I know you're probably training tonight, so I'll make sure that you're away for half six.
100% there. Jim will be on your case.
Jimbo will be phoning me here, cracking up. But mate, it's my pleasure. How's things?
Oh, good, Johnny. Just trying to get back into life at home again after being away, and but no, it's been good, and it's just nice to have kind of normality and a normal life back again. But yeah, no, it's grand. It's just trying to get used to part-time football again and working, so all that's
bit of a difference now, isn't it?
Massive difference, but that's life, and it comes very fast. So now I can't complain, but everything's all good.
A few things came up there. You've obviously a wee baby on the way, as we were talking about beforehand. You just got married in the summer. It's been busy.
No, a busy summer now, but no, it's all for the good reasons. Got married in May, end of May, and then obviously Ashley's now 6 months pregnant, so
Congrats.
So I'm going to be an interesting year ahead and a busy year ahead, but now looking forward to it, and she's due now middle of February, so can't wait for that to happen.
Good. Well, listen, pleasure, as I've touched on here, but I want to jump right into the thick of it. As I say, I'm very cautious here to keep you for too much longer than what we usually do, but take me back. How does Matty Clarke, obviously, what a career that you've had, what I mean? We've grew up, we've played against each other on numerous occasions, battled it out, but we've always been quite close friends the whole way through. But where does it kind of start for you? I know you're from Castledurg, sort of like, for me, I'd just say you're from the country, like, do you know what I mean? I'm sure everybody else is probably the exact same, but
stick as well.
But talk to me about that. What's it like growing up in Castledurg, and where did it all start in football terms?
Football terms, it all started a wee local club in Saint called Saint Swifts.
Okay.
Started, must have been 5 or 6, I think, and that's all I wanted to do was play football. Obviously, you know yourself, Johnny, a young lad. Out in the streets, terrorising neighbours, keep balls of cars and
I leave them dense, leave them on.
Exactly, and I was that kid, like, running about in the latest Man United tops, Rangers tops, as you say, terrorising neighbours and not playing football where you should have been, but that's all I wanted to do. Started off there, and a great wee club, great youth setup, a lot of committed volunteers. There was a fella, my man Danny Gallagher, who kind of ran the whole show at that time, Paul Dock and stuff, and they were brilliant. And for, when you look outside and see, when maybe you're part of it then, what these lads actually do for volunteers for youth football is unbelievable.
Goes so unnoticed, doesn't it? At the time, you just expect, you just think it's normal, but when you kind of get the RAs and you
it's their heart and soul. The time and stuff that they put into it is crazy. But yeah, started there and a good time. Saint Swifts, played Monays, played a right few years up and stuff, and kind of developed that way. And then it went to Brendan Keogh Youth League, Artstraw, Killen Rangers. Played for both clubs. Killen's probably a club very close to my own heart, as well as Ashley's family was all involved as well. Mm-hmm. But I played youth football there, played youth football at Artstraw again. A lot of hours of volunteers and stuff. Wally Scott at Artstraw and Tippy Morrison, the likes of Gary Sproul at Killen, who took me. But we used to travel the lengths and breadths of Fermanagh and Tyrone and playing games. And once obviously me and a fellow Davy Lowry done it 2 years ago, sorry. We took the 17s at Killen, and when you actually put yourself in that shoes, and you are the coach and you're traveling, you see, you respect, and you don't, like, you kind of you didn't take it for granted, but you understand now exactly what the commitment it takes for these people to keep local football clubs running. It's unbelievable. But no, good times there. Won a few trophies with Killen at youth age. Tippy the gaffer, when you used to terrorise him as well, going over Scrahy Mountain there and into Fermanagh and stuff, wrecking his new car and that. But no, it was great times, and then obviously signed Froma. Yeah, played in the Mid Ulster League. I think that was from about 14 to 13 to 15 maybe. A couple of years Doma. Good times, won the Mid Ulster League, won the Cups. A couple of close calls in the Northern Ireland Cup, a couple of big Belfast City Slicker teams. But yeah, no, good years there as well. Your Gary Ballard, your Marty Woodheads there as well. Again, unbelievable for what they've done for us young lads. And then obviously went to Linfield for a year before going to Rangers. I think won the league there as well at the Blues. I went there when I was 15, and then left Linfield and went to Rangers at 16. So that was eventful enough.
On the move, do you know what I mean? As I say, on the move. But one thing that you touched on there, and it's one of the things that I think is beneficial especially for me back in the day, and probably for you same, is kids' development and how they develop quickly by playing a couple of years up. You've touched on that.
Yeah.
You've done that a few times, a few different areas, a few different clubs. And I know you're only talking about under 13, but it's so important that you end up being more physical, and it helps.
100%, Johnny. Like, I was never scared to play 2 years up, 3 years up. You know, I might have been small at that age group, but I thrived with that. Like, I wanted to be there and play with them older lads and stuff. And I think, as you say, it turns you into a man, basically. Not a man at that age, but, you know, it gets you to that stage where you're ready maybe to make a jump. But no, I think it serves you in good stead. You know, you look at modern day now, there's kids, like, I think it's so different now, like, from when we grew up. As I said to you, I'd have went on the Saturday morning, played with women, then came back and played with a senior team at maybe our straw on the Saturday afternoon. Like, that's completely unheard of now, and you wouldn't get away with it now.
No, we're talking about, we're laughing there, but you're more likely to be released.
Exactly.
You'd be like, you can only focus on your club now, and you can't go and get that experience or that physicality.
No, definitely not. And I think it kind of molded me a bit as well. And I loved the experience of it. I generally did love, obviously, going and playing with under 15s on Saturday morning with women, and then coming down and playing with the senior, the men's team in the afternoon was great. And
plus, you're at that age, you've got nothing but energy to burn, and you're so interested in playing football that's the only thing that matters.
Yeah, as I used to say when I was that age, about 16, 17, like some of the older lads at 30, 31s, it takes me a few days to recover now. I think it can't be that bad. Yeah, I see now when you're in their shoes. It's absolutely horrific.
Sorry, I was hitting now, we're at that age. You're saying going to need a few days in the ice bath.
Exactly. It takes 2 days now, and you used to think back in, it couldn't be that bad.
You're looking at these wee kids now coming through, and they're fit, and they're passionate.
And then there's a 16 or 17 year old maybe going down the wing past you now on a Saturday, and you think, oh my goodness me.
The good thing is you can cut them too.
Yeah, that's probably a lot of my career's based off.
Talk to me about moving to Linfield. What's that like? Because I know then you quite very quickly go to Linfield, sort of 16. I think the Victory Shield comes up, you're at Northern Ireland under 16s and stuff, so it's quite a big jump for you.
It is, especially at country lads. You were an hour and a half, an hour and 45 minutes to get to Linfield to train and play. At that age, probably a big jump is right, as you say, Johnny, coming from maybe your local teams like Kiln or Straw, Moma, and then going to play with the big club in the country.
Yeah.
And you know what? It wasn't ideal for me to get there either. Obviously, mum and dad didn't drive and stuff, and you know it was a massive burden probably on my sister, my brother-in-law Andrew, and my brother Ross and Elaine. But you know what? If it wasn't for the likes of my sister Elaine and my brother Ross and my brother-in-law Andrew, I probably wouldn't have had the career I've had, to be truthfully honest. They carried me everywhere, Mulk Cup training, the county excellence stuff in Cookstown. Everything was over an hour for us, like no matter what, where we go in the country. But you know, without them, I probably wouldn't have the career I had. So a lot of
completely selfless when you think about it now. You're like all the time, all the effort that they've put.
Exactly.
I know you're just a kid. Do you know what I mean? And all you think about is I'll get to play football, but. Imagine you having to do that now and you're not getting paid for it and you're just sitting waiting down.
100%. You know, you see the miles and hours they put in for me, carting their brother around to go and play, and being able to go and do that, obviously. And, you know, hopefully they can look back and say that they were proud of the career I've had and it worked out. So 100%. They must have seen maybe something that there might have been a glimmer of hope. Otherwise, they might not have been carting me around after Belfast and that.
Oh, mate, it's one of the things that you kind of look at. Like, my dad would have done for me. The man, even to this day, probably couldn't tell you the offside rule, but just driving around, setting you down, picking you up again, just wasting. You're like, you wouldn't say wasted time, but obviously maybe enjoyed reading. Probably can't read it, but didn't enjoy reading the newspaper. But he's got the paper. He's sat in the car. And he's had to wait. Whether it's not Norway for us, but it's a big commitment. It's a big journey. Like,
it's massive for us. It's massive for our part of the country. Like what they done for me, I'll be obviously forever thankful. And it's not even that You've all our lads that I'd played with, like Jamie Sproul, his dad Alistair Sproul, and as I mentioned Gary and Gary Ballard and stuff, taking me and Jude from Moma to go and play for Linfield and that. It was massive commitment, and you know, round about all the Mulk Cup teams and stuff. We had a good car, the lads running the Cookstown and stuff for the Mulk Cup. But you know, it's, as you say, John, it's a massive commitment. Like, and, you know, thankfully it worked out.
Talk to me about Linfield when you move. What's the changes, the biggest changes? I know we've talked there about travel and commitments, but obviously being at Linfield, even at that age, was there pressure on you to obviously go?
I think that's one of the things I noticed. Obviously, going as a 15-year-old at Linfield, that it's a bit like the first team. You have to win, at all costs. Simple as that. You know, something that I loved. That I don't know how I would have got through my career without having that. To be honest, that wall to one and doing everything you can at all costs to win. I think that set me in good stead, if that makes sense. going to Linfield at that young age, the demand to win trophies, the demand to win games, especially at 15, 16. But yeah, there's a massive difference in, you know, the jumping standard as well, and you're playing the best in the country throughout Belfast, and so probably part of a lot of the lads I hadn't seen before, stuff like your Georgie at Celtic boys at that time, and Georgie was untouchable, and
Oh God,
D Morgan, and you know, all them boys at that age were like, I was only starting to come and see these lads in, and obviously Vic Bashir came later on, but just the jumping class and the jumping.
I still can't get over to this day how far advanced Paul George was
Scary
compared to everybody else.
Scary. Georgie was.
It's like night and day.
Yeah.
I always remember, like, you looked at him and you're sitting going like, that's not normal for anyone to be able to do the stuff that he could physically do.
Yeah, he was unbelievable. See, 15, 16, 17, Johnny there wasn't a player in the country, or even like, obviously I had played against George at Celtic when I was at Rangers, and like what they thought of him as well was scary. I mean, he was producing the goods as well over there. He was head and shoulders above everyone else, and the stuff, as you say, he was capable of he was unplayable
at times. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
One of the best things that I find about your story is you're such a huge Rangers fan.
Yeah.
You always grew up, as you touched on there, you've Rangers tops, United tops, and for somebody to be such a fan, to get to go to their childhood club, the boyhood club, it's the dream that everybody wants to achieve. But how quickly does that come around from your time as you joined Linfield? Do you know that Rangers are potentially interested in me going, and obviously you've maybe other clubs interested, but obviously Rangers is the only club that you're probably going to go to at that stage?
That's a funny story, because I was back and forward to Rangers flat out. I mean flat out, and it's funny because I went across as striker initially.
Okay.
And
then they move you left back.
And then moved up. Okay. But yeah, went across the Rangers. There was a few clubs in me, Derby and Blackburn, me and other two that saw an interest. Derby were pushing and pushing and pushing for, like, they wanted the deal done, and they were willing to come to Northern Ireland and everything and get it done, because I kept putting it off, because I knew Rangers were like
on the fringes.
I knew, like, to be fair, Phil Cowan was a Rangers scout at that time. Phil was like, just sit tight, there's something there, there's going to be definitely something. And thankfully, obviously it came about, but the amount of stories I had to make up to Derby County, which was awful,
just lies,
just to make sure I got my move to the Rangers. But looking back, you know what, would Blackburn been a good club to go to? It probably would have been, in terms of obviously the size of Rangers and how hard it maybe is to make it at a club like Rangers. But no, obviously I wouldn't change the flow. I got a chance to go and sign for my boyhood heroes, and as I said, went across as a striker originally, and I think I had a good Malt Cup before I signed. I think I scored a hat-trick and maybe the Tuesday and a couple more towards the back of the week, and that kind of sealed it.
Yeah.
So that sealed me over as a striker anyway. So, but it didn't last too long.
But that's what they say. What's that like then? I tell you, you're going, right, I've gone over here, just banged a few goals in the Malt Cup, came away, got a contract, and then all of a sudden they're going, Matty, tough one here, but you're going to let it back, and you're going to become a defender. Like.
It actually had started well. Rangers striker, I had a few goals, and then I think I went away with Northern Ireland, and they were struggling for a left back at the time. I can't remember who the left back was that time, but I think we had a few injuries, and there wasn't too many lefties in the team. And I think I just done a job in there, and Rangers used to send someone as well to watch, obviously, when you were away in international. I think I'd actually done alright at left back, and then came back the following week, and next thing I knew, I was fancy me left back. So that's kind of where that came about. There was another man I signed Swifts as well, Paul Dock. He used to fancy me as a left back too, but back then obviously I didn't see I was a striker. I wanted to be a striker, score goals. But he always says as well about, I told you were a left back. It's a funny, like, but
some people can notice it from a young age and just go, you've got sort of certain qualities in your game where you're like, you could easily do a job consistently.
But no, that's how it came about, and went across as a striker, and then the Northern Ireland.
Did you ever care about moving, like in terms of you being centre forward? Because obviously you just wanted to score goals, but do you ever go,
probably not,
I just wanted to stay up, or were you just like, I'm happy enough?
I was happy enough as long as I was playing. I'd play anywhere as long as I'm playing. But I really liked defending as well. But I was a good turn of pace. I had good recoveries, and you know what, I was good mobility at that time. And I was obviously a young lad, but I really, really, really enjoyed defensive duels. Like really enjoyed
stuck into people who've got that physicality.
I really did. But no, I didn't mind Johnny at all. I'd say I'd have played anywhere at all, and that wouldn't have bothered me at all. It's just as long as I was on the pitch playing.
Yeah. Talk to me about your time at Rangers. What's it like going from a young kid, country kid is what I would say, but to being a full-time professional at one of Scotland's, if not Scotland's biggest. Okay, I'll go for that for you. I'll do that. You know.
No, it's a scary experience. Anyone who tells you any difference is telling you lies, I think. I remember going to the airport, the whole family in the bags packed, and ready to go at 16, not long out of the GCSEs and stuff. But it's a scary experience. You know, you're going at 16, you're going to live with a family in the outskirts of Glasgow. Hadn't really been to much cities in my life and stuff. But no, it's an experience that definitely makes you grow up very fast.
Yeah.
Thankfully, when I moved across, I moved in with a family from Mulgai, where Rangers train, where the training centre is. Peter and Christine Seabelt. Brilliant people. Honestly, still keep in contact with them today. And Peter's never done golfing. He's sending me golf photos every day, and I'm just in work, very jealous. But no, they were over my wedding and stuff, and fantastic family, and they couldn't have. They made my transition very, very easy.
Yeah.
And that side of things. And then obviously as you get a bit older and you're there, you move into a flat and out of a family home. So no, it's a very daunting experience, but it's a experience that grows you up very fast and turns you, kind of molds you into a man very fast.
See the way the leagues and stuff would work over there, and obviously then you're playing against full-time opposition in different clubs. How competitive is it? Is it even? I know obviously Celtic and Rangers is consistently going to be probably one of the most competitive derbies forever.
Yeah.
But as a kid playing Celtic and Rangers, is it the exact same?
Exact same.
Is it?
Yeah, exact same. One at all costs. You cannot lose to your bitter rivals. And, you know, we lost I remember playing the Glasgow Cup final, Youth Cup final. We were beat by Celtic at Park. I think there was 16,000 out or something.
Yeah.
But I remember the feeling of getting beat by Celtic wasn't nice, and being involved in the game was horrendous. Never mind being a fan and watching Celtic tank us for the last 10 years.
I know. It's horrible, isn't it?
Yeah, it's terrible, John. But yeah, it's so competitive. At that time as well, when I was across, Hearts and Hibs had great academies too. Great academies, Hearts especially. Their youth team was amazing, and you know the progression from the youth team 19s to first team was, I don't know, out of my team, I think a lot of them went on to play in the first team.
Yeah.
Obviously it's harder, Rangers and Celtic and stuff, but the one thing about Hearts and Hibs at that stage, they were putting their youth through a lot to the first team.
Yeah.
But I think them two were very, very, very good academies as well, very well run.
When you're playing against people, obviously there's quite a few lads from our age that end up going across to Scotland and playing different teams.
Yeah.
I think Big Paddy was at Celtic probably at the time you were at Rangers, and I think Jude Winchester was at St Mirren or Kilmarnock or something like that. And so there's a couple of lads there. Did that make it easier for you being able to play against them and kind of knowing of those people?
It probably did at times, to see a familiar face all the time, you know what I mean? And
obviously you still want to stand all over the top of them and make sure you win, do you know what I mean? But
yeah, no, definitely. I think no matter where the Northern Irish lads were when you came across, it was always nice to see a familiar face, and you're always kind of half looking forward to maybe getting a chat to some of the lads after, or you know, we had a couple of Northern Irish lads at Rangers at the time, and you know, just I think that bit of home from home was nice, and it kind of helped you along the way. I think definitely. I think, you know, we're special breed. It was the Northern Irish, like we always look out for each other regardless of what you are. But yeah, no, I think seeing a familiar face definitely helped at times. Now
you were there for what, total of 3
years? Yeah.
Obviously, we've talked about how big of a fan you are, and I'm trying to make it in that first team. But did you know that you were going to be coming back without getting a contract, or how did that work? Sort of fizzling out towards the end of the third year.
So the third year was awful. Like obviously the admin had happened. No one knew if they were coming or going. Players leaving. It was crazy. I remember sitting in the house that 14th of February. Can't remember what year it was. 2013, 12 was it?
This is where they obviously lose.
When the Rangers have now went into administration, I was sitting in the flat in Glasgow. I was like, this can't be right. No. And then the next thing, there's administrators in, there's a new owner. Obviously, your man Craig White came in then. My goodness, what a fraud.
Yeah.
What a complete fraud. Like, how, fair enough, you listen to interviews, Sir David Murray and stuff, and like Craig White had sold him down the river as well. Like, obviously buying the club and that, but like, if that was me or you done with that guy, done with me life sentences. It's what he done was embarrassing, and was just a complete mess. Johnny players allowed to leave for free. Obviously lost all the first team players basically. But yeah, it was a tough year. I remember going back, done all pre-season with the first team, was flying. Of course, Lee Wallace decided to stay, the club captain, Scottish international at left back. I was certain that Waldo was going to go, like, but of course
you're banking on that being like he goes here.
But you know what? He was an absolute gentleman, Waldo. I mean, and obviously to say at that time I was training with the first team, and like Waldo he would do anything for you to try and help you, and he was always on my case, telling me, look, Clarke, your chance will come, or left wing and left back, your chance will come. Just keep working hard, doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
But it can't. He was unbelievable with me, and I remember the first game of the season was that Challenge Cup, I think, because obviously we're in the third division, and I was to be in the first team squad, and I got injured. On my last year, I was out for about 4 months up to Christmas. from going then to training the first team every day to being around maybe 1 or 2 days a week with the first team back with the youth team after came back from injury. The rehab took long. It was my 2 groins. Nearly thought I needed a hernia operation, but thankfully I didn't need an op. And I broke down a bit here and there, and you kind of knew the writing was on the wall. And then obviously I spoke to McCoy. McCoy said that I wasn't going to be there next year. There was no contract and stuff. And then went back around, obviously, youth team coaches and the reserve team coach, and they were like, nah, that's like, I can't believe it. You're not doing anything.
Yeah.
You've been a big part of our team and our reserve team and our 19s team and stuff. But to be fair, I thought I'd done all right around the first team, but obviously the injury kind of hampered me because I was to be in that squad, and then the pull-up injured. And
it just kind of sets you back, doesn't it?
Exactly. And it's doggy to hug at that level.
Yeah.
Like, once you're in the door and you maybe do well, you could be sorted. But once you miss your opportunity, both sails, it's hard to recover.
When you're at Rangers at that stage and you are training with first team, what sort of calibre of players are still sticking around? Obviously, you've just talked about getting the administration, but
obviously when first went back the pre-season, the majority of them were still there. Your Moedus, Devo, Carlos Bocanegra, who else was still there at that time? Lee Wallace, like Bocanegra was USA international captain. I can't even remember who else was still there. The majority of them were still there when Stephen Naismith. When we went back, but obviously in the window opened and they could go for free, which majority of them did. It was tough. It was a horrible time. Like, you didn't even know tracksuit ways and stuff. It was just.
Was it as bad as that? Where you just don't even know if we can get.
Like, Jimmy didn't even know what kit he was getting, and it was horrible. It was really, really bad at that stage. And like, I remember the big store at Murray Park used to be full of Powerades, and Powerades though they were falling out, and then they started suddenly. Like, watching these Powerades. I remember one day the club
checking them out.
Yeah,
there's Clarke.
There's a stock. I remember one day. Then once obviously it all had happened as well, the club had deal with Audi. I remember seeing the Audi truck pulling in and lifting all the club cars and stuff. It was just like you could not believe it was happening. Like, Rangers Football Club, no chance.
Yeah.
Like, I think obviously going with what you read between the lines, I think HMRC wanted to make an example out of a big fish, but
yeah,
fair enough they did. But it was just crazy time.
You obviously then decide that you're coming back, and when you do come back, obviously Linfield is probably smashing the door down to get you to sign.
Yeah.
But was there any other clubs that were interested in you at that stage to come back and sign, or was your heart sort of set?
No, it wasn't that. Like, it wasn't at all. I'd spoke to Derry City, done a few weeks training with Derry City, and I was actually offered a deal at Derry, and then. The night, funny, I was going to meet Linfield and Glentoran in the same night.
Right, okay, smart.
And obviously, cutting out that big journey, you had to make
Yeah, you're in the travel up from the dirt.
Yeah. Went into you know him very well, David. I went into the old boardroom in the South Stand at Windsor, and it was David Jeffrey, the board, and Alfie Wiley, McLaughlin. And once obviously I met David, I didn't even make Global. I'm not going to lie, didn't even make Global. It was signed, sealed, done. But yourself, David, was just his aura and just the way he made you feel.
Charisma, just about how you're going to go and
how you're going to be.
And to be honest, he's quite honest with you. He's probably come in.
That's one
he
thing.
Hasn't told you any lies.
That's
this is going to happen for you.
But like, David was brilliant with me. But that night in the old boardroom, I was just. He made me feel like Messi, and I was done and dusted. And there was no other option then. And as you say, David is just the way. He treats his man management and stuff was amazing. Obviously, I first came home and I think only maybe played 22, 23 games that first season, something like that. And like, just the way he managed me, I was struggling at times, obviously, adjusting, going from maybe reserve team football, back in Linfield, you having to win every game and you couldn't lose games. But I was probably struggling maybe the physicality of the Irish League, and but the way he handled me at that stage, and you might not have played every week, you might have been out for 3 in for 2. Like, but the way he managed it.
Like, you're consistently still happy.
Yeah.
I never I hate this or I'm fucking.
No,
somehow has the ability to make you still feel like
keep you on board and you feel like you are still number 1 left back in the country.
Yeah.
But he was amazing, and it's just that I would love another couple of years working with David. Obviously, it was only one until he left Linfield. But yeah, it's funny. That night I'd signed. I went out to the car again. The car and my sister, and she's like, "Right, where am I going now? East Belfast." Like, nah, there's no point going to East Belfast. Done and dusted. She was, you what? And I said, done and dusted.
It's so mad, isn't it, too, that you go in there with that plan, being like, I'm making sure I'll rest my laurels on it. I'll have a conversation. I'll go home.
I've got dairy to go to.
I'll mull it over, and then I'll be able to maybe negotiate an extra.
Yeah.
X, Y, and Z, and you've just went,
Not one David. If Jeffrey gets you no chance.
Yeah.
You're done and dusted. Nah, but as I say, just the person that David is unbelievable, and you know him very well as well.
Yeah.
He's amazing, like amazing man.
In terms of that, though, it's probably the best decision that you made. I mean,
looking back,
you end up being there, what, 11 years, 12 years?
11 years,
across the whole board. You've won multiple league titles, Irish Cups, the heap, but obviously you don't know that's going to be expected and what's going to come from it, but the same demands are kind of in place at Linfield as they are at Rangers, so
100%.
You're not really going from something that's too different,
Yeah.
but as a full-time club and a part-time club, they both push for titles, and if you don't get them, your fans are on your back, like.
Yeah, big time. No, I think, as I said to you earlier, I think just that mentality, the winning mentality. If I hadn't had that throughout my career, I don't know if I don't know how I would have dealt with that, because I loved that, just having to win every single week at all costs. And you know, and when you do, like, obviously lift league titles and cups, it's amazing at the end of the year. You know, you're with a group of lads and a group of friends and family, basically. But yeah, just that world of won and won every week and keep battering out trophies every single year. I loved it. I thrived off it, and I'm so thankful and so glad I had that in my career. And you know, thankfully, looking back, I've won multiple things in the country, and I'll be, obviously, maybe in 20 years I'll be even more.
Hopefully there's a few more to add to it, like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? I say, you're in what, 31 now? 31, lad. We're getting old.
I know.
So,
I feel it now on a Sunday.
Talk to me about the changes at Liverpool that happened. Obviously, you signed for David and you're thinking, this is a great decision I've made.
Yeah.
David's in there. Obviously, how he makes you feel is incredible, but as you say, you only get a year.
Yeah.
Is that a big change? Are you thinking, like, there's no way, like, considering the amount of trophies David's won, you're thinking, like, David's probably going to be out for a long time.
Yeah.
But it changes quite quickly.
No, when I first obviously came home and saying that, I was thinking David could be my manager for the next 100% X amount of years, and there's no chance of him going anywhere. But obviously things happen, and it was Fino came in then, and Fino was completely different. Like, Fino was one of the lads and just enjoyed the crack, and was always in amongst it. I think, to be fair, a lot of the lads wanted Fino, and probably struggled maybe a bit first year, and then I think it was the second year that Fino, when he was leaving, I think we'd maybe won 6 out of 6. We went to Cliftonville away, we went to Crusaders away, and we were top of the league and we were flying.
Yeah.
I think he kind of turned the corner, and then he came in and told us, obviously, one Thursday night that he was gone. But yeah, you probably didn't expect David to be gone my first year when I first came home. I couldn't wait to obviously maybe see where I went under playing under
where he is.
Yeah.
How do you feel at that stage? Because it's one of the things that, well, I've never really had the experience of, like, signing for a manager and then them just up going. So I mean, uplifting and just leaving. But
it's a full reset. It's hard to explain. It's, you know, there's a manager coming in now you may not fancy at all.
100%.
Or is this manager as fancy as you? It's simple as that. You kind of, everything's going through your head. It could be my time next up. I may not come in, not fancy me at all. I've seen it plenty of
times. No, 100%.
But then that's going through your head. You know, you might not be here at Linfield yourself, and you know, obviously, I was desperate to stay at Linfield as long as I could. But yeah, you knuckle down, and you just your performances kind of hopefully do lead to the new man fancy, and thankfully it has. It did for me in them regards.
There's a quick changeover after Fino, obviously, but I think at that stage you still won league titles.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean, at this stage? So what's that like, you lifting your first trophy at Linfield, going through the league season, being successful?
It was unbelievable. I think given the first league that we won, Cruise, that January 2016, maybe the January 2017, I think the first league was we won. But that January, Cruise were like 12 points clear of us.
So far ahead, weren't
it was, we were gone.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll never forget it, the night Josh Carson actually bundled the ball over the line to make it 1 each at home to Portadown. And then we went on a run. After that was the run we went on was ridiculous. I don't know if we lost a game from January to the end of the season, and the Crews just kept dropping points, and we just kept believing. Obviously went right to the last day. I'll never forget the second last day. We won 4-5-1 away to Coleraine. The Crews, I think Ballymena beat the Crews, and then that left it all to play for. If we'd have won the last day, we would have won the league, and if Crews had won but we'd have drew or lost, they were still going to win the league.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget the last day we were away to Cliftonville. The Crews were like 3-0 up, say after 20 minutes or something. They were home and dry already. We were 1 down at half time, Clubman had scored. We went in. To be fair, I'll never forget what David Healy said at half time that day. He says, lads, if we don't turn this round and win this game in the second half, some of you will never recover from this. And thankfully, he went out and water.
Harsh words too, isn't it? Think about it. It's like,
but you know what? He was bang on the money because we reeled him in so much and then got the touching distance of again, and we were going to throw it away in the last day. But thankfully, then done what Andy does best and scores a hat-trick second.
I was so mad at it.
It was crazy. And the second goal that day, my God. But again, Andy, what a player, what a guy.
Electric, just the fucking that, wasn't he? And his career just kind of
amazing. See, I actually looked not that long ago, Johnny, maybe after your podcast with him, is like his goal records for his seasons. It was
frightening.
You don't get that anymore.
No, frightening.
You don't get it anymore.
Mate, he was averaging. I think it was something like he averaged like 200. I think it was 259 goals for Linfield. Above that sort of period, like it was only a 7 or 8 year period. But it was in 300 years, and like 300 games. So I'm like, he was probably scoring like a goal every fucking 50 minutes or something.
Definitely was. But you know, you just knew, like, obviously Kirk's delivery as well from that other side. He just put it in the box, and Andy buried it. That was just he was always there,
stuck in there too.
Always there.
He had the ability to be able to stretch any team.
100%. It used to be great because you take a touch at left back, look up, and Andy was just like, I've gone already, and you just played, and Andy got it every time.
I think that's the problem. I think that's the problem. I've been talking about this for a long time. It's like it's the wrong ball to play.
It's not.
Like, it's so basic. Like, if you can, I like, maybe I'm wrong at saying this, but my own opinion is if you can dumb down football, where it's that basic, and you know that somebody's going to sit out here and send it, and he's going to be 2 yards ahead of his centre half.
I knew for a fact at times, Andy, I don't know, maybe Andy just, I knew as soon as I was taking a touch, Andy was gone. As soon as I played that ball, just that wee clip, that Andy was on the money and in, like,
and he was that quick too. Like,
he was so quick, so sharp. But that hat-trick he scored at Solitude that day was unbelievable.
In fairness, you can't do that any better, can you? It was like last game of the season,
second half hat-trick. Unbelievable.
Against Cliftonville. That's an Linfield.
Needed to win the game. To win the league, and then obviously the celebrations have followed were a messy few days, and obviously with the Irish Cup final the following week.
Yeah.
I remember a funny story Andy saying to me, I think it was a Sunday or a Monday, he goes, "Okay, I can't play next week in this cup. I can't. You should kill me here." And then we trained the Tuesday, Thursday, obviously as you do, and we were still rugby come the Thursday. You know what, Johnny? There was a few boys toiling, like, but then the Saturday took care of itself. I think we were unbelievable at cup final, and it was just an unbelievable end that year. Won the double, and it was class, and obviously we won the County Antrim Shield in January against the Crews too. But just that ending that season was,
and that's David's first year too, isn't it?
Second. Was it his second?
In the second year,
I think.
When's the travel?
So I'm not sure it was his second. That's a good question. But yeah, just the way that season finished was unbelievable. And obviously the celebrations again after the Irish Cup, I had to go again. But yeah, it was sort of old liver now for a couple of weeks.
As it is. Now, before you've had a couple of those times, do you know what I mean? So,
yeah.
I mean,
it was good time.
Done nothing but abuse yourself there over a couple of years. But one of the biggest things that I love talking about is European trips. And you've had plenty of years, like, near enough every year. Probably you've been in Linfield and you've dropped out the top four. Like, but talk to me about the biggest trips that you've been on. Obviously, there's a few memorable trips.
Yeah.
But there's obviously a few memorable home games as well. But
big time. A couple of the best, one of the best I think was AIK Stockholm away. Fino, we were away, I don't know if it was, I think it was Europa League. We were playing the Thursday. Fino had us away Monday to Friday or something. I don't think we've ever done it since. It was unbelievable. Bang in the middle of Stockholm, Johnny.
Yeah.
It's so serious, unbelievable city. But like, just we played in that national stadium, Sweden's national stadium and stuff, and it was just not long after Abramovich. Was Joe Hardy done?
Oh, the overhanging one
from miles out.
Oh yeah.
But playing in there, and their fans, everything was electric. Like, and they were a good sight. Then they were top of that Swedish league, and qualifying for Europe and stuff. But the fact is, like, Fino was away Monday to Friday for a Thursday night game, whereas he used to obviously go on the Wednesday, Tuesday night,
Thursday night. Flew that morning, trained that night, and then played the next day.
Brilliant, but it was an unbelievable trip. We stayed right by the middle of Stockholm, and we got a night out after and everything. Like, after the Thursday night, we stayed the Friday morning. Fino just says, right lads, just be on the bus for like 8 AM, I think it was. And
Stockholm would be a good place to go for.
Unbelievable. We actually, the night out, funny, they beat us that night. Second leg, we beat them the first leg. Andy scored in the first leg, I think. We beat them at Mornview because ones were still getting work done.
Yes.
But they made a tank. There's a second leg out there, 2 or 3. But the night out, we met a load of AIK casuals. Obviously, they must have thought that we were Linfield fans. Oh, do you want to see this, sir? In the middle of a bar, they were trying to us arrange a fight. Now we all go out and arrange a fight. They're looking to scrap us in the middle of the street, Stockholm. We thought we were Linfield fans. And it was funny. We were all, now you're alright, big man. It's 100%.
Sweet, I just get a shine
You want to scrap? No, it's 100%. But yeah, it was a good trip. And some of the other ones, it was a pity it was over COVID, was Legia Warsaw away. That would have been unbelievable. Like that, the Polish leagues.
And the fans and all too, it would have been packed out.
They're renowned for it. Like, but then we played Pogon my last year. Szczecin, they were German. They finished fourth in the Polish league. They had some quality players too. But that was a good trip and lovely new stadium in Poland and stuff. Azerbaijan, Karabag away, Baku. Oh, what a city! Unbelievable.
Karabag's the game. It's the game before you miss out on Europe, isn't it?
They put out away goals. And
I'm going to talk to you about that because obviously that's one of the biggest things that's happened probably in the Irish League history.
It's not even that now, Johnny. You look at what Karabag are doing now in the group stages, and you're thinking,
this is why I need to talk about it because the last couple of years they've been borderline quarterfinals, like semi-finals.
It's crazy when you think of it now. Like, and they only put us in away goals. I think we were part time still at the time.
Lad, it was so mad. And the thing is too, like, you ran all over the top of them. See, watching the game, I'm sitting going, this Karabag team, like, you're sitting going, they're shite. Yeah. Like, how are they not winning?
I know.
And then you're obviously looking back and going, like, no, that's serious Karabag team. Like, he's just done really well, but fuck, the whole night, the way it unfolded.
It was unbelievable.
Disheartening, like.
And then the Bodo Glimt home, obviously Kirk thinks the keeper will 1-0 to their leg, thinking, do we have a chance here against Bodo Glimt? And then they put 7 past to Bodo.
Did he feel what the laughs or penalty? What a goal that is. I've never seen somebody run a full pelt and like he just and it's like in the top arms and going
unbelievable. Kirk had that in a lot.
Oh, that's what they do that.
Kirk has so much quality, but then obviously they put 7 passes, 7 or 8, I think it was in Bodo, and the 2 centre halves were playing at the edge of our box. I mean, they were toying with us, like, but Kirk had sent off in that game early doors, I think. And then they got a penalty and went 1-0. And I've never took a battering in a football match like that in my life.
And you're just spinning on you, like the balls are popping past you.
And I think in the same year too, that obviously in the group stages they beat Celtic and they beat Roma that year as well. And then they were toying with those boys, and I couldn't.
As soon as you know that they beat Celtic in the like preliminary rounds, wasn't it? Like was it before you? Remember Celtic? That was the first year Celtic had to go way back, and
I can't remember right, but
qualification.
They put Rome out in the knockout stages, like
so mad, isn't it?
It's crazy.
But it's the fact that you get to play these teams,
and
then you're sitting going like, it's class.
Europe was unbelievable. I loved Europe, and it's a good way to get going ready for the season. I think obviously the whole argument now about the summer football schedule and the full and stuff would it benefit the teams in Europe? I think having a summer.
The thing is, you'd be
more competitive,
fitter.
You'd be more competitive.
You'll be set up. At least you know what you're doing instead.
Exactly. Instead of playing 2 friendlies, maybe before you go into play Europe.
And it does kind of show too. Like down south of, they've hit the group stages a couple of years in a row. So I mean,
they have. They've had it now. Must be 4 or 5 years in the bounce. And obviously Dundalk teams them years that Dundalk were successful. They went on the group stage Europa League for a couple of years in the bat. But obviously it can only be beneficial. Obviously, being competitive games before you play in Europe, but as you say, Johnny, we were always going to maybe playing 2 friendlies before you go and played.
That's it. It's like a year.
And these teams are 15 games in their season.
It's such a challenge too. But as I say, I wanted to talk to you about it. Was the Karabag one was like the first. It was the first glimpse of an Irish League club hitting the group stages.
That was Europa League too. It wasn't even the Conference League, and it was Europa League.
And I mean, it's touching distance.
Yeah, it was. It really was. Shane Lavery was. My goodness, he was unplayable that night.
Ridiculous.
Unplayable.
That whole season too, like, I've never seen... Every time I looked at Shane, I was sitting going, like, there's no way that this kid can actually be as fast as he actually is. Because he is like a... He's like a wee... you just said, not be rude here, but like a tub.
Yeah.
And you're sitting going, like, you are ridiculously fast. And he was just
so
burying the ball in the...
They didn't know what to do with him that night at once. They were...
But he was Cruyff. Was that the only Cruyff boy? And like just swept it in. Yeah. Like, I remember. And
unbelievable.
It was so... And there was people falling over the top of him. You're sitting going like, this is...
It was scary that night. And you know what? Like, we really, really were in the game that night and give them everybody we deserved. Like, we...
It was an own goal. Was it Jimmy? Something happened with Jimmy towards the end. Was it? Like,
no,
that was
the RFS game.
Was that the one before?
That was the one after. That's only about 3 years ago. 4 years ago. That was our next close call to getting into Europe. We should have been home and dry that year. Like, but I had the Karabag one. I can't remember what the first goal was, but the second one, I gave away the penalty.
Yes,
I got blocked.
But
And
That's
then
later on, isn't it?
oh, it's the last kick of the game.
Yeah.
I get blocked, and then I try to recover, and obviously leave my leg, and your man takes it like a dream, and
Dangles over Tom Daly, and there he goes.
And then away, obviously.
I didn't really want to bring that up because you obviously give away the penalty. That's not why I set that up. Right?
I'm honest
You know
enough,
what I mean?
Johnny.
That wasn't the reasoning behind it, but it was more so the fact that it was the first time when you're watching going, Linfield are doing this, yeah, like it's time, and they're going to win this, and it's going to be mental, like it's going to be class.
I know, and even the away game, you know what, we were in the game as well, and a couple of wee decisions kind of. I remember, who was it? We had a throw in, and Staff had scored. I can't remember the right way of it right enough, but Staff had scored, but the ref had ruled it out away. He said the ball, so I can't remember what the right was, but if we had done it quicker or something, the ref said it would have counted. I can't remember what the right story was that long ago, but it was something mad. But if that had stood, we would have went through. Like, but I'll never forget that trip either. Me and Bastien got drug tested after that game, and obviously you're sitting there waiting for ages to try and take a piss because you're so dehydrated. But the two Quarterback lads came in as well, so there were two boys and us, and we were flying straight back out that night, and the Quarterback lads were chatting away to us, and he's like, long flight home and stuff, and I was like, yeah, work in the morning as well, and he goes, you got what? And I was like, work in the morning. As soon as he goes, you work? I was like, we've all our jobs as well. He goes, you crazy, my friend? Funny, I'll never forget it, Johnny. And Bass was in hysterics laughing. But yeah, that's the way it was.
Standard,
your man was probably getting about 10 grand a week.
Yeah,
I'm sick, and he was calling me crazy for working as well. But no, I'll never forget that. That'll stick with me as well. It was funny. It was a funny.
What's the feeling like when you're knowing you're touching distance and it doesn't work out? Because it must be just energy sapping going into this, because the season's pretty much like 2 weeks away, isn't it? Like,
it's the worst feeling in the world. That RFS one, what is that, 2022 maybe? That's more fresh in the memory than Quarterback. That was.
I think that the second one's worse, and the reason why I'm going to say it's worse is because of the back pass Cameron Palmer gives at the end, and not to kill him because he's a great fella, but anybody in their right mind just hits that as hard.
We were 4-on-1 before they scored. 4-on-1.
That was, and I was like, the way the ball's there, I'm like, if he just rifles
Johnny, if he had to put it in the
Rose it,
ball out,
100%.
the ref blows a full time whistle.
And then the ball threw out the one side, and then up, and I'm sitting going, there's no way.
I've never seen as many grown men cry that night in my life. Again, the cross and Jimmy just.
That's it. It sort of comes off him, doesn't it? And just nothing he can do, really. Nothing
he could do. And you know what? If he'd done it 10 times over again, what happened? It wouldn't happen. But just the fact that we were 2-0 up in the first leg away, they got a dodgy corner 82nd minute, scored 2-1, and then they scored in the last kick out there to make it 2 each.
Yeah.
And we battered them away. And how they got a draw was a complete disaster. But then we were in full control at home. We should have the game out of sight again at home. And then what happened the last was it went to penalties, and I was skipper at the time. Jimmy must have been on the pitch. And I knew in my heart of hearts that we were going to do well here to win this penalty shootout, because I looked around when we were doing picking the penalties, and no one was kind of
dead the first penalty, just dead on you.
I got the first penalty, and I probably hadn't had a penalty in Linfield in my life.
Yeah,
because you kind of looked around, and you just wanted to take responsibility, because I felt so bad I was devastated myself, but you just kind of you want to take responsibility for the team, and I'm captain here, and I want to hopefully bury this first one and see how we go. But obviously I missed the first one. I remember standing waiting on the ball for ages that night for the first penalty. I don't know what happened.
Pressure's on.
Oh my goodness.
What must that feel like though? Because you know that the club's about to make history, and you're standing there. You're not in a normal position where you hit them every week.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
Exactly. It's the fact is, Johnny, I was standing. I don't know what happened, but I was standing for ages waiting on the ball to hit the first penalty, and I was going safe, left foot, obviously going there. And I was standing that long. I talked myself out. I was, you know what, I'm going to reverse this. I'm going the other side, and I reversed it. Your man got down and just tipped it by the post. And if I had got the ball back quick, stuck my laurels, says, you know, I was going to see hit it. Yeah. But I was standing that long waiting, and then they scored, and then Big Ethan obviously misses as well, and you kind of know then they're not missing 2 penalties.
Penalties is such a hard way.
It's horrible, and then just seeing the lads after, and you just felt like, you felt that obviously responsibility, and a bit was on me and stuff. I missed a penalty, and then seeing obviously obviously I'm very close with Big Jimmy and stuff. The way Big Jimmy was devastated, and all the lads, I'd never seen as many men cry in my life in the change room. Just, we were there, like, we were group stages that it was done, the game was finished. We were, 1 minute we were 4v1, to bury the ball, to do whatever we done with the ball, and the next thing was going to penalties. I'll never ever get over that.
You say, like, if that goes over, wins.
If it goes into Donegal Road, it's the best blown is full time whistle.
Yes,
that's simple. That's how simple it was.
I think that's what makes
the fine margins of it. Yeah,
because it's genuinely that close.
Yeah, and then I remember starting the season that year. We started terrible. Just such a hangover from Europe, and I'd never seen as many lads probably just struggle to try and get through the first couple of weeks of the season, and just going into training. I remember going into training them a couple of days after, and that was just so tough. It was because we were there, like, we were home and dry. We were going to be the first Irish League team to win in the group stages, and we deserved to be there because we absolutely battered RFS. They did not deserve to be there whatsoever, but that's football, and unfortunately that's the game. The
emotional roller coaster that comes with it.
Big time, and it took us probably a month to get going in the league. It definitely did. I remember going to Carrick. I think we lost to Carrick 2 not long after the second leg, and again I remember looking around that day thinking we're in a sticky situation.
Yeah. How do you bounce back from that though? Like, what galvanizes a team that's that low after that hangover? Because, as I say, it's probably one of the lowest points that you'll ever get to, considering there's so much at stake.
Yeah, as you say, so much at stake, Johnny. You'd obviously your rewards for playing the group stages, going to play some of the top opposition.
Not even to be bad here, but you think about the dog have talked about the players are getting X, Y, and Z.
That was
thousands, and
that was when
clubs going to make millions, and
what you were going to get financially, your bonus for qualifying for the group stages. That's all going through your head and stuff. What's the player, of course, it's going to be. It's
natural. Everybody needs
life changing, like
100%.
But yeah, I think to get over the way we did, I think it takes a lot of big characters in the change room. Thankfully, we had that in abundance. The change room that we had at Linfield was, over the years, has been incredible. The first probably cycle of one leagues with me, Andy, Jimmy Gallagher, Mark Hoggy, Mark Stafford, Chris Casement, Niall Quinn, Kirk. You keep going on and on. Andy, it was unbelievable. Wee Smithy. Aaron Burns came up with massive goals for us then as well. Burnsy was back to goal.
I spoke to Burnsy so much, especially Andrew, because I'd be probably closer to Andrew, and I've asked the two of them to come on together. Probably I think it'll be a good crack. But that man was a ghost. He just floated and then just scored.
Yeah, you literally
needed him.
Johnny hung the ball back post, Burnsy bang goal every
time. But I always hated it too, because Linfield had this way where, like, between Jimmy Gallagher, Stafford and Hawkeye, they were averaging like 8 to 10, 12 goals a season as centre halves. So anytime you went off from a corner or go like free kick, more than likely you were like, we're going to concede this.
It was funny actually. I think the year we won the league, the first league we won, I think Jimmy and Hawks and Staff made it 10 each.
I remember I am just going like, you're centre halves. They're just bang goals in it.
But that team we had then, Stevie Lurie, my goodness, he was unbelievable.
What a player too.
What a player, what a guy as well. And the best thing about it was, Johnny, we were all tight, we were all close, and we all went on our nights out together. It was like, and we were so tight, and it was the change room was a special place, and like it really was. And then obviously down the years, then we still had Jimmy, myself, Connie, Kirk, Mulgrews, like Jimmy. What Jimmy's done for Linfield is scary.
It's incredible. Like
it's
he's easily going to go down as probably one of the best players to ever.
I'm rightly so. I get on the very best with Jimmy. Still doing. I was chatting to him yesterday. Just he's a good guy. He's probably a nuisance to play against.
One of the worst people to play against, and I think it's probably over exaggerated that me and him probably hate each other.
I know.
It's so hard, so tough to play against him because he's got so much influence. But he's the smartest person on the pitch because he knows that I can just buy fouls,
100%,
and I can slow the game down to my tempo, and it's so frustrating.
Yeah.
But what a player.
He's a serious career, and the state
of Rolls Royce, like he's still going now, like, and he's just strolling around.
39 he is, but fair hats off to him. Like, to stay at a club in Linfield for 18, 19 years is unbelievable. But as was touched on, the change room we had was a special place, a very special place with a lot of good friends, and majority of the lads that I've named, I'm still keeping contact with today. Like,
in terms of you getting towards the end, obviously we've talked about the good memories, the lows, the highs. It comes towards the end. Obviously, we know that you end up moving on to Livingston, but how tough is it at that stage? You've obviously had a testimonial. You've been recognised. Do you know what I mean? You're probably one of the best left backs to come out of Linfield for the last 10, 15 years, but I'm very consistent too. But in terms of that, was it a sad moment for you knowing that you were going to be leaving the club, or were you happy enough to go, do you know what, I'll give Scotland another bash, and Livingston obviously trying to get back to where they should be in the SPL?
No, I think it was sad. I'll be later to say if it wasn't sad leaving the club. It's so many good times, and probably the way it kind of ended was a bit sad. And then I remember, obviously, Cliftonville beat us in the Irish Cup final, and then we were all going out on Sunday, and again we were in the bar, and like probably maybe one or two drinks too many, and I've never seen again so many grown men cry. Really, thinking like obviously I wasn't going to be there next year and stuff. But yeah, no, it was of course it'd be sad. It's a massive part of my life, and you know, we see some of them boys in that change room more than you see your own family.
100%.
And obviously I had a testimonial and stuff, and I had a good relationship with majority of fans. I had a very special relationship with South Belfast, their supporters club. Still to this day very friendly with a few of their members, and they came over to Scotland to see me and stuff, and very good. But yeah, it was, I'd be liar to say if it wasn't sad, John. Of course it was an end of an era, and you know, it was successful, and I think 400 and something games, and I enjoyed it. But the way it kind of ended was a bit sad.
Did you expect it to end the way it did, in terms of if there was problems or negotiations or whatever it is did that put a dampener on things in the end of the day?
Probably I would say maybe it might have a wee bit the way the negotiations kind of had went. Definitely it wasn't, it kind of, I would say it hurt a bit, it hurt me a bit. And then obviously I kind of knew that my time was coming to an end, and but the way the negotiations it kind of went, it was a tough one to take. But yeah, I kind of knew then I was moving on, if that makes sense.
In terms of that, you've been consistently probably one of the best left backs, well, most solid left backs in the league for the last sort of 10, 11, 12 years. Obviously other clubs are going to be banging on the door to try and get you a sign. Was there clubs in the Irish League looking at you at this stage, and why did you choose to go to Livingston? Obviously, was it the full-time aspect, staying full-time maybe, or was it just I want out, I want to go clear my head, go somewhere fresh?
Nah, I had good options in the Irish League. I had quite a few at that stage, and come back now, obviously the April time maybe of that year, as I said, the off-air, David rang me, David Graham, and goes, there's a man looking to speak to you. And I says, who's looking to speak to me? He says, David Martindale. And I was like, what's he looking to speak to me for? He goes, he wants to speak to it next year. And I says, aye, cracker D.
Yeah.
And then he goes, no, honestly, I've passed your number on, he's going to ring you. And he did, rang me. And then he wanted a Zoom call, and then a Zoom call with Davey, and it went well, and I told him where I was at and what he expected of me, and you know, was interested and wanted me to come across and see the whole place first before I'd done anything. So me and Dave went across, and it was a Wednesday, and had a good look around, and you know, he showed me the yeah. And to be fair, lovely, great facilities, and you know, fantastic people about the club, Johnny, brilliant people about the club. I was done there and then, and you know, the chance, as I said, Ray McGee, my good mate, always tells me it was a scratch. It needed scratched again. Right. That's the way he always put it. And always kind of stuck with me. And I was hamming and hamming. And then even my Mrs. Ashley had said to me, you know what, you need to go and try this again, because you'll look back 10 years down the line, you'll regret that. You'll regret not going to try it. She says, it's going to be tough. I'm going to be staying here. You're going to be over there. It's going to be horrendous at times, but you have to try it. You have to go. And you know, I had her fall back, and if she had told me, no, please, I would not have went and done it. Yeah. But the fact that she was straight out the bat and says, look, you have to go and try this. You will regret this if you don't. And signed, and I knew then I was going across. And you know, once I had signed with Livingston, and then going into the last few games as a Linfield player, I was sad. I was sad I was going to be leaving Linfield, because it was a massive part of my life, and you know, I had a lot of good friends there, and just the fact that I was going to be sharing the change room with me, Chris Sheeds, Kirk Mullers, Ben Halls, Jordan Stewart, Connie Ford, exactly. And you know, we built up such a strong friendship and strong relationship with them boys, and you know, McGrews, and as I said, we suck as well. And that it was going to be tough. It was going to be hard, and that's all I knew for the last number of years. But no, I had to go and try it, and you know, thankfully I did. Well,
thankfully you did, because it ended up turning out to be quite a successful season. And I remember speaking to you just before. Well, we've been pretty much speaking for the last couple of years, because trying to get deals done with me saying different places was a fucking insane. It was a hard task, wasn't it? It was.
You were a tough taskmaster.
I was trying my hardest, and the club just didn't play ball with me.
No.
But we've always sort of been in contact, and we've definitely spoke at the time when you were going. And I mean, a move out of the blue, but what a move, because you end up with what a season.
Unbelievable. And I can't. It's probably, you know what, Johnny, it's as fit as I've ever been in my life, and the best shape I've been in. You know, it was like been back proper Rangers days again. You know, in train, pitch station in the morning, straight in. You know what, ice bath, had an ice bath, and your protein shake, your tablets, your supplements. Up the stairs, get your lunch, and then lower bodies start of the week, upper bodies middle of the week. Your day off during the week as usual. But it was, I did enjoy it, don't get me wrong. At times struggled mentally, struggled being away and stuff. It was tough on your own at times, and there's times you could have just went, you know what, I'm going home.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was a successful season. We got promotion, we won a cup. You know, Livingston's not renowned for winning cups, so you go down in the history books as part of that. 100%. You know, when you look about Livingston, the previous team that won that Challenge Cups, all on the walls and stuff. And as I said, it's a great club, fantastic club with great people who still keep in contact with staff and stuff. They couldn't have done enough for you. They're always making sure, you know, you were all right, and they kind of looked after you.
Trying to make it like a family.
Yeah, that's one thing I noticed. I was very lucky. From the start of the season to Christmas, I had loads of people coming over every weekend. I'd mates over to watch Rangers who just came to stay with me, and you know, free accommodation for them as well. And it worked out both for us. It was great. And I was getting mates from home, and obviously then Ashley was over quite often, nearly every weekend at Christmas. But one thing that they always notice, and a right few friends going to games, lovely games, then the weekends, they says this club can't make you feel more welcome. Yeah, like there was like the players now, they made sure you had a drink, and it was just unbelievable what they done for my family and for my friends coming across. They really put the boat out and really looked after them, and that's one thing that the people from home noticed, that they said this club was like
fantastic.
They made you feel so welcome. It was unbelievable. They couldn't do enough for you.
See, in terms of you being over there, obviously you've made that transition from Linfield here full time now to being like Livingston here, obviously being full time for the last number of years. You've been up and down and different things like that. Was there a big difference in professionalism at the different club? Not I'm not doing a Kyle Lafferty here. No, like, don't need any responses. But in terms of like, they're a well established professional team, and obviously Linfield and Larne, Coleraine have only started this sort of journey in the last sort of 4 or 5 years. Is there a big difference in terms of what they do, or is it quite similar? Because I've never had the chance to do that.
I think there's probably and given the Irish League clubs now where they're at, there probably is a massive difference. Given obviously Livies being full time probably for
100%. No, that's what I mean.
A lot of years, and you know they've got a lot of staff and a lot of people in jobs and stuff. With 2 strength and conditioning coaches, we'd have Massure, we'd physio. You know, obviously we'd all out at Linfield, but maybe not to that degree level of personnel. But yeah, it was very professional, and you know, it was good to be in that environment. Like, it was a good environment to be in, and but I really enjoyed it. It was an good group of lads, good change room. Still keep in contact with 2 or 3 of them as well. And, but no, it was good. I enjoyed it, and as I say, there probably is obviously a bit of a step above from where our Irish League clubs are at.
In terms of you being there, taking that leap, maybe people thought it was a strange leap to go considering they're in the Championship, but they get promoted, the SPL. You're going to be playing against Celtic and Rangers, all the big hitters. Hearts are flying at the minute and doing different things. But you decide to come home.
Yeah.
And that's probably one of the, obviously, for different reasons. People obviously have their reasons and you'll have yours, but that's your dream, to get there and play in the SPL, going full time. So what was the reasoning behind coming back?
I just think, obviously, I know that was the end game. I wanted to play in the SPL and stuff, but I think seeing how I maybe was from maybe January to the end of the season, I was probably really struggling mentally. Just, I think, you know what, Johnny, what kind of hit me hard as well at that stage was after Christmas when Michael passed away, Michael Newberry. Mm-hmm. It hit me. It probably hit me very hard. Just that whole situation and stuff, and it was a tough one to take at that time. I remember coming home that day, and I actually left training early that day. I spoke to the manager and told him what had happened, and I actually was in the flat, and I remember I sat in the car for like over an hour, and just I'd spoke to Michael on the Friday. I just couldn't grasp it, what had happened. And then you're obviously thinking, you know, did I miss something, or you know,
would have seen something or noticed it or helped there
3 days ago? And then I think just then it kind of put in prosper and my kind of situation. I thought, you know what, I just have to go home here. Yeah. She was still at home, and I was getting to the point in the evenings I was just like, I just want to go home. I just really want to go home, and country boy, and you know, I want to get as bad as that is, as mad
Home
as it
comfort
is,
is
I
good.
just want to get back there.
100%.
But yeah, missed out obviously an opportunity playing the SPL, but it is what it is now, and I haven't really thought too much about it.
Yeah.
I'll still go to watch Rangers and stuff, and
That'll never change.
that'll never change.
100%.
As bad as we are, but the fact now that I'm just really enjoying life now, really enjoying normality, and
Your
probably-
routines are, you're back to
exactly,
work.
and you know what?
Yeah.
I know we're part time with Ballymena, but you know what? I'm enjoying having a life again, and I've never haven't had that for X amount of years. Just a bit of normality, and full time football is a massive commitment.
Mm.
It is. It definitely is. And don't get me wrong, I've absolutely loved every minute of it. But I'm just enjoying. I know maybe it's just age am as well now.
Still, lads, you must
I know,
tough on
it's-
that. 31 now,
it's
be
a
an
tough
adult
one,
and get a job and fucking
Exactly, that's the thing.
9 to
We're gonna-
5.
9 to 5. But yeah, I just think the fact that I just wanted to get back to normality, and
Yeah.
I missed the Derek too much. I missed obviously home, and missed her, and missed our dog and stuff, and I couldn't wait to get back. And obviously we're getting married in May and stuff, and that was playing in my mind as well. As I said to you off air, I was getting married the weekend of the second leg of the playoff final, and I was thinking, how am I going to approach this with a manager? Like he is going to
Stress,
me here.
yeah.
And that was on my head, and to be fair, the gaffer knew at the time that it was on my head for a while, because I had mentioned to him early doors when I was signing, but 24 for me meant nothing to him then.
Yeah. As it comes around, he's home.
And when I remember going in, and I had the balls this day, I was like, I'm going to have to mention this to him again, that like we're going to be in the playoff final here, and I'm going to have to refresh his memory that I'm not going to be here saying Nate. And then I was like, I was shit myself. I remember going and saying, Gaffer, look, I don't know if you remember, I told you I was getting married on the 24th of May, this first signed, and he looked and he goes, no, I didn't remember. And I was like, oh, shit. He goes, but I'll tell you what, you're going to have to get married. You can't not get married. And I was like, fine.
He could have proved that completely different. Like, you need to be here.
On a personal level, Davey was brilliant with me. Like,
Yeah.
I had numerous talks with him after Christmas and how I was feeling and stuff mentally and that, and he was absolutely first class, and he was letting me go home for 3 or 4, like we might have played on the Saturday, he's letting me go home and come back on the Wednesday and train them towards the end of the week and play Saturday, and then, you know what,
Just managing you properly.
Unbelievable.
Understand.
and obviously Davey, everyone knows Davey Martin Lilly, he's a massive bloody personality in Scottish football, but seeing on a personal level, and it's me and him, like this year, Johnny, he was
Brilliant.
one of the best I've had.
Yeah.
Genuinely one of the best. He really cared about use the person. Well, the way that me and him, the relationship that me and him had, it was.
But he knows that that's probably going to benefit him in the long run, because you have that sort of rapport built up, confidence in each other.
And he knew you could trust me. That's the thing as well. I knew
You're not
that,
going home to get screaming or.
no, it definitely wasn't. And he knew that I would come back and I'd give him everything I had on a Saturday, and train Thursday, Friday, or train Wednesday, Friday at that stage. But as a man and on a personal level, he was absolutely first class for me.
Coming back and signing back in the Irish League, obviously it's a wee bit of a difference, but you've kind of made up your mind. The wedding's just happened, you want a fresh start, going part-time, you've back to work and X, Y, and Z. But in terms of signing for, obviously we all know now it's Ballymena, but how easy was it for you to sign for Ballymena? What convinced you to go to Ballymena? Obviously there was, again, probably numerous clubs trying to get you to maybe go full-time again. Or
Yeah.
obviously the option of staying part-time, obviously, is more beneficial for you, isn't it?
I think so. I think I kind of made that clear, I think, when I was first coming home, that, you know what, I'm just ready to go part-time again. I spoke to Jim before the summer, and Jim kind of knew my situation where I was at. And then speaking to Jim, obviously I've known Jim. He was a player in Linfield when I first came home, and, I think a lot of Jim. I came home and spoke to Jim, and then me and I went and met Jim and met Liam. Alan was there and stuff. I got that vibe, Johnny, the family club, and they really look after you, if that makes sense. When I first kind of met everyone, and then it was very smooth. It was done and dusted in no time, and there wasn't much going back and forth. And I was always easy enough to work with regarding contracts and stuff. I was never one to put the boat out, like, that's for sure. But it was easy enough, and it was done pretty quickly, and I was just excited and glad it was done so fast. But I think just that whole thing, the whole family orientation, it's got the vibe that the place couldn't do enough for you as a person, and we're always going to be there to maybe help you out if you need anything.
100%.
I still get that vibe off the club, and it's a great wee club.
Yeah, there's good people in place now. We had Chris on a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, I've got very close to Chris. Obviously, Alan does the media stuff, and Alan the Dark media for anybody that wants any media stuff done. You'll be buzzing on that.
Big Alzo.
Big Al. But in terms of the club, there's fantastic people around, as you've touched on there, and the club's massive. I think people, like, once you're in it, you kind of realise it's a big club, big following, big support, which is exactly what you're used to. But obviously getting back into things, you've been playing, you've picked up a slight injury and now you're coming back, but it hasn't been going probably the way that anybody hoped it started off for the season. But I mean, I think there's too much talk around being too early doors and but like Ballymena or this, that and the other, but Ballymena will be completely fine, if I'm being completely honest. They've a serious squad involved, good players, Jim's saying well, and it'll be interesting over the next couple of weeks, because once they do pick up wins, if it's serious.
Yes, no, definitely. You said, Johnny, there's a good squad there, a good squad of players. I think it's just getting bodies back who from injuries. 100%. At the minute, is maybe we're probably in a tough position there the last 3-4 weeks with injuries. I think once we get a full fit squad, I think now we will be ready to kick on. But it is what it is. You know, we had a good start, first 3-4 games, and then obviously you play the full-time teams, and we beat Linfield, and then obviously we had a couple of bad results against the others. But you know, we have to go now, get the game over on Saturday, and then look to build definitely on and start to take off a few 3 points and try and climb again back in that top 6. But yeah, no, it's a great wee club, and you know, it's a club, as you said, you don't really realise probably the size of it. I mean, until you're obviously involved in it, and as I say, the people inside the building, they can't do enough for you. They're absolutely first class, and again, you know, your friends and family going to games, and like they're doing all they can to look after everyone.
One thing I want to touch on here just before we finish, and it's probably one of the highlights that I've seen over the last couple of weeks, and I know that I've had many of dodgy celebrations for us years, but you've picked up a few goals this year. You probably, as we talked about, you probably should have had a few more, but
yeah.
I know Swan Dive in the corner at Windsor Park, I have to say I loved it.
Yeah. No, I took a head stammer, hey, and you know what?
Nothing about head stammers. I loved it.
Yeah.
I swear, I was. If everyone's have seen it, I kept rewatching it. I was like, he's in the moment. He loves it.
Big time. The goal, I just seen Fats. I knew Fats was going to put it in that area. I just knew he was. And if I could just pin Kirk for long enough, I knew I had a chance. And thankfully, I don't know where this head came from, by the way, but
here. Oh wow! You're creeping in at that back stick there.
Yeah, most of it. I was getting a bit of stick from the south stand, and I wasn't going to celebrate. I was getting a bit of stick, obviously, from a couple of blues. You're finished, Clarke. You're finished, Clarke. I wasn't going to say, you know what? I guess I'm going to.
Absolutely give
I was actually first. I was going to knee slide, Johnny, but you know what? It was that slick. I was just going. I'm going to fall on belly here.
I always think. Do you know the problem with the knee? If you go in too deep,
and then you
face plant.
Yep.
You look like me. So that's one thing I've never done. But the Swan Dive, do you know what? If I ever make a comeback, I'll swan it.
See if she's slick enough. Give it to her. Why?
You're nearly off the edge.
Off edge. So stands would have killed me.
Straight in the dugout. But mate, listen, thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure. As I say, I'm very cautious that I keep you for too long. But what a conversation, what a journey. I really appreciate you coming in, giving me your time. As I say, we've been friends for a long time, and it's very nice for me to be able to sit and have conversations with good friends.
Top man, Johnny. Appreciate it.
Finish on hugs.
100%, big man.
Alright, Jen. Thanks, brother. Join us next week on the On the Spot Football podcast for yet another fantastic guest. I'm sick of letting it out who it may be or giving advice on who it may be. You just have to wait and see who it is. See you soon.